In this lecture, we'll take a look at some additional features that we can include in our classes. Let's suppose we declare an integer variable x and we store the value 25. If we call system.out.println, our output should be 25. This is expected. Now let's try the same thing with objects of classes. So let's say we do system.out.println and pass myClock. We're going to get something with clock, an @ symbol, and then some weird set of numbers and letters. This doesn't seem like very useful output. So what's going on here? Well, whenever we use one of our print methods and we pass an object to one of our classes as the argument, we have this method called toString. And this is a method that's already given to us. It's automatically called. And what toString does is it takes our object and just simply converts it into a string object. So that probably doesn't help too much here though. I mean, what's really going on? Well, this toString method will convert our object to a string. But what is this type of string? Well, it's going to be the object's class followed by the hash code for the object. Now, what's important is that we can actually change our default definition of toString. So we can redefine it in our class so that way we print something a bit more appropriate than the class name, an @ symbol, and some hash code. So here would be a more appropriate setup for the toString method. Because think about it, what are we trying to print for our clock? We want to print the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. So here's some code that will take care of that for us. Where the first part will take care of the hours portion, we then print a colon, and then we print out the minutes portion, then another colon, and then we print out the second portion, and then we just simply return the entire string. So we're concatenating this giant string and then use that for our output. And what's nice about redefining our toString method is that if we put it in our class, we no longer need the printtime method, because what did printtime do? It printed our time in the hour, minute, second format. By redefining toString, we can now just use our normal system.out.println method. And then when we pass the name of our object, we get a more appropriate time. The next feature we'll take a look at is what we call the copy constructor. Let's suppose we have the following statement. We have clock, myClock, and we set that equal to new clock, and we pass 8, 45, and 22. So we see that we're creating an object of the clock class where 8 is the hour, 45 is the minute, and 22 is the second. We can actually use this very same clock object to declare and instantiate a different clock object. So for example, we could do something like clock, and then maybe I call this a clock, set it equal to new clock, and pass the myClock object. So what's going on here? Well, we're going to create a new reference variable, and we're going to instantiate the object and initialize all the instance variables of the new object to what is stored in the original object. So in order to do this, we use a special type of constructor which we call the copy constructor. The copy constructor is pretty much just like any other constructor in our class. The only difference is instead of passing a bunch of integers or doubles or other primitive data types, we're now passing a different object of the same class. Here's the syntax of the copy constructor. So we still have public and then our class name. So it's set up just like any other constructor, except now notice that in the parentheses, we have an object of that particular class. So this will be a different object that already has the instance variables initialized to something. So we're passing some already created object of the class. To help illustrate this, let's take a look at an example using our clock class. So this would be the copy constructor for the clock class. So we still have public clock, and then notice in the parentheses that we have this other clock. So this other clock is an object of the clock class, but it's a different object than the current object of the clock class that we're looking at. And if we notice inside the definition of this constructor, we're just saying hour equals other clock.hour, min equals other clock.min, sec equals other clock.sec. So what we're doing here is we're initializing the instance variables of our current clock object to the instance variables of the other clock object.